Well, gonna set off now. Oh God. After spending over $100 on overpriced petrol, we finally hit the road. Our first destination, the National Park. This is a nice place. I used to live here. It's more open than I remember, that's for sure. But memory can be pretty shoddy, let's be honest. It all looks a little bit burnt. Okay, so a little bit of context here. Basically, in late 2019, early 2020, a big bushfire ravaged the area. Think a wall of flames. That's how devastating it was. Luckily, it didn't actually reach the town, but it did burn a huge portion of the national park area. Though I didn't actually think it reached the area where I walk. A link to the video of the wall of flames is in the description. This is what happens when we have cheapskate government in power. Well, this is the swamp where f***ing Shrek's Arabian cousin lives. Bone f***ing dry. I remember when I was young and I'd come down here when I used to live here and there'd be water almost up to this little bridge that we're on. That's why there's a bridge here. It used to look like tea tree oil, or it might have been eucalyptus oil it looked like. Starting to get a really creepy vibe from this place. Creepy vibe. I don't know why there's a hair comb there. Maybe it's a sign from God, or even worse, Lucifer, or even worse than that, God again. Who am I kidding? God doesn't exist. Yeah, it is quite boring here, isn't it? Just because you didn't see a tree fall over doesn't mean it didn't happen. The beauty of death is that life can feast on it. Death creates new life, as it said in Last Jedi, I think it was called. What a disaster of a film that was. I know this isn't really that swampy, but I feel like I'm gonna look over my shoulders and I'm gonna see a little green man on my shoulders, and he'd be like, "Strong in the Force you are. A complete arrogant f***head you are too." When I thought that this bushwalk was starting to get boring, I finally found something that was of slight interest. Just come to the Woodgate National Park and this tree will give you one hell of a time. After relentlessly mocking this tree's morning wood, I decided to go get some lunch. However, I chickened out because I thought I had to use totalitarian software to enter. So I decided to take a trip down memory lane instead. On the pathway to my old house, that's where we used to live. Of course, the one time I want to film, one time I want to get off my computer for once, they have kids down at the beach. I still remember the old bastard that used to live over that way. He's dead now, I think. I used to balance on those beams as a kid. There used to be cicada shells everywhere, all on top of the branches and that. I hated them. And sometimes there were even bees in that bottle brush tree. Good times, eh? The nostalgia. I remember once we bought a frisbee that went a really long way and it got stuck in those trees. I used to love walking up and down the balance beams here. I used to have quite a good balance. In fact, I used to be almost like an athlete. I used to always play footy in that field between this tree and that gully. I used to go all the way from one end to the other on that fence, that wooden fence. I used to remember planting little street signs all over the place because I was obsessed. Kind of sad that it's been almost a decade since we moved out of this place. It's a bit of an alternative route because of course this is the one day they decided to send the Goodwood kids on a f***ing field trip down to the beach. But prepare yourselves. Beautiful, eh? It doesn't get much better than that. Makes me feel for the disgruntled office workers of the world. Oh, who cares? Their jobs are going to be taken by computers in another 10 or 20 years anyway. One of the things I love most about Woodgate in comparison to Agara is the beautiful soft sands. There's no rocks on this beach. It's still coarse and rough and irritating. But come on, just look at it. Go all the way. Might as well go all the way down. The wind in this is going to be really trash. Ooh, babos. I want to avoid filming that way because kitties. So the other way you can see the hummock from here. And you can even see the silhouette of Bundaberg, I think. Last time I checked it was high tide. Tide must have gone out. One of my favourite old hobbies used to be collecting seashells. Ooh, I see a nice looking one. We used to take countless amounts of seashells. We used to collect cuttlefish bones as well. Also f***ing tiny though. Where'd all the big ones go? A lot of old dead things here because due to climate change the tides are coming up further. You notice that? After taking the walk down the beach, I finally worked up the nerve to actually go in and get some food. I'm glad I did. I got to catch up with the owner of the place. She's very kind. She fed the firefighters while they were battling the blaze that I mentioned previously. Make sure you say hi to Rosie for me. She's selling shop though, so she might not be there for long. Usually I don't really like to film my lunch, but I got this from a special friend. Look at those. I love chips, they're my favourite. I also got a snack burger. Look at that. That looks so good. Anyway, after I had lunch, I went down to the Audionautix Creek. The place where young people would drive down to in the middle of the night and park so they could have sex without their parents realising. That's if there were any young people down at Woodgate. Place is like one big retirement village. I'm surprised there hasn't been a big COVID outbreak there. Then again, this is Queensland. Wow, it's much quieter than I thought. This is the Audionautix. We're gonna look at the mouth of the estuary. I honestly thought it would be rougher, but it is so quiet. It's starting to get a bit cloudier, but it's still beautiful in its own way. Last time there was an army of crabs and they always pop down back in the sand when we got close to them. It's as if they know how destructive humanity is. We really are blessed to live in such a beautiful country. It's just a shame it's being run by such f***wits. Wonder what's on the other side. Probably nothing but forests, and that's how it f***ing should be. Another fun fact. I used to think that Childers was on the other side when I was a kid, but if you look at the map right here, you can see that Childers is actually quite a long way away. I think there's a fish there. I think that's a fish, yeah. Wow, that's so cool. Is that a stonefish? Actually, I think that's a cuttlefish. It's beautiful and crystal clear. After staring at the beautiful scenery for what felt like an hour, I returned to my trusty vehicle and drove home. The question has probably been asked many times by viewers. What makes this place so special? Is it because I grew up here? Maybe it's because of the nice people. Or perhaps it's because of the beautiful environment and peaceful surroundings. Personally, I don't think it's only one of these factors. They're all reason enough to visit this place. It'll always hold a special place in my heart, no matter what.